Hey, have you ever stopped to think about the possibility of other worlds existing beyond ours? Gives you a little chill, doesn't it? Well, there are plenty of people out there who swear up and down they've seen things that defy any explanation. Believe it or not, stories about mysterious portals and contact with beings from other planets have been circulating around the world for decades. And the craziest part? Some of these stories come with photos, videos, and even testimonies from people you'd never expect. Just imagine, you're driving at night, everything's calm, when suddenly you see a bright light in the sky, moving in a way no airplane or drone could. That's one of the most common stories. These unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, show up in the most unexpected places. And it's not just ordinary people reporting them. Pilots, astronauts, and even scientists have said they've seen strange things in the sky. And portals? Oh, this part sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. Some people believe there are places on Earth where the laws of physics get, let's say, weird. These portals could be gateways to other dimensions or even distant planets. Ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle? Some say the things that disappear there might have crossed through one of these portals. Now, what really captures everyone's imagination are the encounters with aliens. And no, we're not talking about those little green guys with big eyes you see in cartoons. The reports vary widely. Tall and slender beings, humanoids nearly identical to us, and even creatures that seem to be made of light. People all over the world share stories of unexpected encounters, some peaceful, others not so much. And you know what's even more intriguing? Many of these accounts are strikingly similar, even coming from people in completely different cultures who've never met. Coincidence, or is there something more to it? Oh, and before you think it's all just imagination, it's worth noting there are some pretty compelling records. Photographs of mysterious lights, videos of objects performing impossible maneuvers, and even recordings of sounds no one can explain. Sure, some could be hoaxes, but others, well, they leave even experts scratching their heads. So tell me, do you believe this could all be real? Or do you think it's just humanity letting its imagination run wild? Either way, it's fascinating to think that maybe, just maybe, we're not alone in the universe, isn't it? Did you know that some accounts of alien encounters are so surreal they sound like scenes straight out of a sci-fi movie? Let me tell you about a case from 1942 in Switzerland that still sparks debate to this day. The story of Kevin Ford. This is one of those reports that even makes the most skeptical people raise an eyebrow. Kevin was an ordinary person, with nothing to make him stand out as unusual. He was a farmer living a peaceful life until something completely unexpected changed his story forever. He was in an isolated area tending to his crops when he saw something bright descending from the sky. It wasn't a plane, it wasn't a balloon, it was a metallic disc-shaped craft, something he had never seen before. And it didn't stop there. Kevin reported that as he approached the craft, a being emerged from it. But this wasn't just any being. He described it as a tall humanoid, with almost human features, but radiating an energy Kevin had never felt from any living creature. And here comes the most intriguing part. Kevin said the humanoid communicated with him, without speaking a single word. It was all telepathic. Can you imagine hearing thoughts that aren't yours? But what truly stunned Kevin was what happened next. He noticed a metallic ring on the ground near the craft, pulsating with a bluish light. Curious, he tried to touch it, but as soon as he did, something bizarre happened. His right arm disappeared right before his eyes. It vanished. Panicked, he still felt his arm as if it were in another place but still connected to his body. The humanoid didn't seem fazed by Kevin's reaction at all. In fact, it seemed to be demonstrating some kind of advanced technology, something humanity couldn't even dream of creating at the time. After a few seconds, Kevin's arm reappeared exactly as it was before, without any damage. But Kevin was never the same after that. This event left such a mark on Kevin's life that he spent years trying to make sense of what happened. Of course, many people didn't believe his story. But at the same time, Certain details caught the attention of researchers because what Kevin described about the craft, the humanoid, and the metallic ring matched other accounts that wouldn't surface until decades later. So, what do you think? Was Kevin making it all up? Or did he really experience something extraordinary? Sounds like something out of this world, doesn't it? The most fascinating thing is that Kevin's story is just one piece of the enormous puzzle surrounding extraterrestrial encounters. Think about it. What if suddenly something inexplicable happened in the middle of a deserted road while you were completely alone? That's exactly what happened to Harry Turner, a truck driver in Virginia, in 1979. His story became one of the most mysterious cases involving dimensional portals, leaving people scratching their heads to this day. Harry was a calm guy, used to long nighttime drives on quiet roads. On this particular night, he was driving his truck on a routine 130 kilometers route. Everything seemed normal until an extremely bright light appeared on the horizon. It wasn't a headlight, nor a street light, or anything he could recognize. It was different, intense, and seemed to grow larger, swallowing the darkness around it. Suddenly, Harry heard something he described as gunshots, but there was no one nearby. The sound was so loud it felt like it was echoing inside his head. The truck shook, as if going through turbulence, but he kept control of the wheel. That's when everything became completely strange. The environment around him seemed to change. He was no longer seeing the same road. It was as if space had folded. Harry said he felt the truck being pulled, almost as if it were being swallowed by something invisible. He described an intense cold, followed by an absolute silence, lasting only a few seconds. And when he realized it, he was parked at a point on the road just 27 kilometers from his starting point. The problem? The total route was 130 kilometers, and he didn't remember driving almost any of that distance. For Harry, something happened there. He believed he crossed a dimensional portal. The strangest part was that time didn't add up. The route that would normally take hours was completed in just a few minutes. He checked the clock, looked at the truck's odometer, and everything seemed to indicate that he had jumped through space, as if a part of the road had simply disappeared. Of course, just like Kevin Ford's case, Harry's story was met with a lot of skepticism from some, but also fascination from others. Experts tried to explain what could have happened, from hallucinations to an unknown natural phenomenon, but no one was able to reach a solid conclusion. Did Harry really cross a portal? Or is there something simpler behind this mystery? The fact is that reports like his show just how many secrets the universe still holds that we haven't even begun to understand. What would you do if you were driving peacefully and suddenly your car started acting strangely? That's exactly what happened to Karen Stewart, a college student in Chicago, in 2008. Her experience is so intriguing that it feels like it came out of a science fiction movie, but she swears everything happened exactly as she described. Karen was returning from a study session with friends. The road was calm, and the sound of the radio was her only companion. Everything changed when a set of bright lights appeared out of nowhere, illuminating the car completely. These were different lights, intense, that seemed to dance and wrap around the vehicle. The radio started to buzz, as if something was interfering with the signal, and the engine seemed to hesitate, almost as if the car didn't want to move anymore. Soon after, Karen felt strange impacts on the vehicle. It wasn't like hitting something physical, but rather as if the car was being struck by an invisible force. She pulled over, her heart racing, trying to understand what was happening. Looking around, there was no one on the road, just the silence and that unusual light. When she got out of the car, Karen noticed something even stranger. The bodywork was deformed, as if it had been dented, but there was no sign of a collision or scratch. It was as if the metal had been twisted from the inside out. The weirdest part? When she tried to push or straighten the dent, it felt like the material had lost its natural stiffness, as if it had been malleable for a few seconds. Karen went home, terrified, and decided to take the car for an inspection. The mechanics were just as confused as she was. There was no logical explanation for the deformities. It wasn't caused by extreme heat, a collision, or any known phenomenon. After that, she started searching for answers. Some paranormal experts suggested that Karen might have experienced a close encounter event, where unknown forces or technologies interact with physical objects in the real world. Others speculated about the possibility of electromagnetic interference that affected both the car and the surrounding environment. The question that remains is, what could have caused such an unusual phenomenon? Was Karen the victim of an unknown force, or was it a mystery that will never have an explanation? These events make us wonder, is there much more happening around us than we are able to perceive? Even in space, far from Earth and everything we know, mysteries can arise. In 1984, an inexplicable event left the Soviet cosmonauts aboard the Salyut space station speechless. Accounts like this show that, even in places where everything should be science and logic, there are moments when the unknown presents itself in an astonishing way. It all started with a routine mission. The space station was calm, and the crew was going about their daily tasks. Without warning, the station was surrounded by an intense light, almost as if it were enveloped by something celestial. The light was so bright that it pierced through the walls of the station, illuminating the interior in an inexplicable manner. The cosmonauts, intrigued and perhaps a bit frightened, tried to understand what was happening. It was at this moment that they reported something even more surprising. They saw giant angelic beings floating outside the station. These beings had human-like forms, but they were enormous, with wings that seemed to shine like gold under the intense light. They showed no signs of threat. On the contrary, they conveyed a sense of deep peace. The most striking part was the emotional impact. The cosmonauts described an inexplicable serenity, as if they were connected to something greater, something that transcends human understanding. For a few moments, all fear or concern they might have had vanished, replaced by a sense of harmony with the universe. When the light faded and the angels were gone, the crew remained silent. They wondered if it had been a shared vision, a psychological phenomenon caused by the isolation of space, or perhaps something else, something that defies any scientific explanation. These reports continue to intrigue people all over the world. How can the sight of angelic beings in a space station be explained? Was it just the effect of extreme conditions on the human body, or did these cosmonauts catch a glimpse of something beyond our reality? What do you think of all this? It might sound unbelievable, but stories like these make us question. Are we alone in the universe? Are there forces or beings that, every now and then, give signs of their presence? This is the kind of question that has no definitive answer, but it fills us with curiosity and a desire to explore the unknown. Thank you for following these incredible and mysterious accounts. If you liked it, leave a comment and share what you found most intriguing. And who knows, the next time we look up at the sky, we might witness something just as remarkable. See you next time.